Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome back to this SEO course in Singapore. So I just want to let you know that this video will all be about Google Business Profile and how to audit them, how to properly set things up. So I'll not go through the specific details of how to actually set it up, but I will go through how to audit it. So I think this will be beneficial even if you didn't set it up yet. And the reason why is because you will then know how to set things up properly, what things to look out for. So I think it's kind of a two-in-one. So I hope you enjoy this video and let's get started. So the first things first is you're going to have access to this template, which I have made for you guys for free. All you have to do is just look below the resource section and you can find this template. All you have to do, make a copy of it and you're good to go. Okay, so this is what the template looks like. So the first things first is obviously you want to make a copy of this template. You want to rename it to whatever that you want. And then once you've done that, just click check. And then the next step you want to do is look at all these specific checklists. Now, before I go into the specific checklist, let me explain to you why this Google Business Profile is important first. Firstly, Google Business Profile is really important because it gives you more. So the more data, the more you help Google, the more Google will help you. So by you setting up a Google Business Profile, you're telling Google that you're a legitimate business, and that's why you have your own address, your own building, your own address, your own phone number, your own website, and basically all these data you can feed to Google via their Google Business Profile. So irregardless of whether you have a local store, you want to be able to set this up all the time. Now, if you are a local pop shop that is providing services such as dentists, dental services or massage services or any kind of store that is physical, then this is very important for you because essentially this is how your customers is going to find you, right? Either via directions or most of the time via phone call. Okay, and what you will notice is sometimes you'll notice Google Map packs. So I'm going to show you an example. So let me see, let's say for example, dental clinic, right? If you search for something like dental clinic, what's going to happen is you're going to see something like this pops up. Okay, and this will only happen if you set up your Google Business Profile. And in case, and you can see over here, this shows website and directions. Okay, but most of the time it will show phone. Okay, which will allow people to directly make a phone call here, call to your service. Okay, and this is very important, especially if you are if you own a physical shop, right? So you want people to be calling you when they search for something like dental clinic. Okay, so I'm going to walk through with you one by one first. So the first things first is the checklist. So these are the few items that we'll be going through and also what are the steps required. Okay, and this is basically just a place for you to check it off. So the first things first is if you're doing this for yourself, you would know a lot of all this information already, but you can see over here the template is meant for us to do it for our client, and that's why you can see some of the stuff here that's slightly different. You can see like get from client and stuff like that. So if you're doing this for yourself, you don't have to worry about this because you already know what you've done and what you've not done. But if you're not sure, then you can go through this as well. So the first thing first is you want to check if there is an existing GMB. So if you see GMB, essentially it's the same as Google Business Profile. It's just what Google Business Profile used to be called, which is Google My Business. That's why it's GMB. Okay, but essentially it's the same thing. Okay, so you obviously, if you want to, you can go in and change this to Google Business Profile, right? But it's, to me, it's the same thing. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you want to check to see if there is an existing GMB that's set up. Okay, so pardon me if you get confused when I mean GMB. It's Google Business Profile. Okay, it's just because I'm used to saying GMB already. So the first thing you want to do is you want to open up Google and you want to see if there is any existing GMB listing. Okay, so what you do is, for example, if you search for something like the brand name, okay, you will see that there's something like this pops up. Okay, so this you can see there's a business profile and I manage this business profile. So if you know you have already set it up, you can just click yes. If not, click no. Okay, if you cannot find any, that means to say highly likely there's not set up yet and you want to basically click no. Okay, so depending on you. Okay, and I don't want to make the mistake again. I'm going to make a copy of this so that I don't edit the main template. Okay, let me close this. Okay, so in this case, I've already set it up. Okay, the next one is Google My Business account set up. Okay, so this one you will know. Okay, if you have not set it up, this is the place where you can go and set up. If you are not sure, then you want to double check first, because if it's not set up, then you want to click no. If yes, you want to click yes, and obviously if you haven't not set it up, you can select no first and then go and set it up. But I think it's also beneficial for you to look at this first before you set up, because the rest of the stuff that I mentioned will be very important. Okay, in this case, mine is yes. I'm going to put out yes. Now the next thing is all this specific section. So with regards to Google My Business or for specifically local SEO, right? Some of the items here will be very important. Specifically, this acronym called NAP. N, which stands for your business name, address, which A, which stands for your address, and P, which stands for your phone number. So NAP, what we call NAP. Okay, NAP. So you can see over here, name, address, phone number. Now, these three things are the most important when you are optimizing for local SEO. So if you are a mom and pop, if you are a pop shop, or if you own a physical store, this highly applies to you. You need to make sure to have your name, address, and phone number, and all these details needs to be consistent. Okay, so what do I mean? Let me give you an example. So if the name of your business is, let's say for example, my name of the business is Trev, okay, SEO agency, for example. Okay, you need to make sure that wherever that you are being cited on, whether if it's on a directory website or whether if it's on a third-party website or whatever site, basically every single time where your site gets mentioned on a specific site or a page or things like that, you want to make sure that your NAP remains as consistent as much as possible. Okay, so what do I mean? If the name, so this is where you essentially set up and decide what name you want it to be, right? So if let's say I've decided to go with Trev SEO agency, now if I were to build citation, okay, meaning to say if I go to, say for example, local Singapore directory, right? Okay, for example, directory. Okay, and if I go to Yellow Pages, and if I advertise with them, like I upload a free listing with them, I want to make sure that the name that I'm putting there is the same name as this over here. Okay, basically this needs to be the exact same. And what do I mean? If you put Trev, for example, okay, if this is the name that you selected, you don't want to, when you go over to, let's say, Yellow Pages and you list your business up, you don't want to put it as Trev. Okay, you want to be exactly the same. Okay, and this needs to be consistent. Similarly with your address. Okay, so and one more thing, it's I'm talking about like you have to be as consistent as much as possible. So for example, if there is no private limited, you don't want to put private limited. Okay, or if you put Trev SEO, you just want to remain as Trev SEO. But basically, this is where you decide every single time when you are going to build a citation on specific places, this is the specific name that you'll be setting up. And the reason why you want to do this is because all the citations, when I mean citations, it's whichever site that is citing your business. So this can be all these directories over here. This can be any kind of external pages, right? But you want to make sure that all these pages, when they cite your business, they cite this. Okay, because this is going to be consistent with your Google Business Profile setup. Okay, because in your Google Business Profile, you're going to have the same name and you don't want to change that. Okay, this needs to be consistent throughout. Okay, so that is for name. Similarly with address. So let's say, for example, my address is, let's say 123 Loyang Road, for example, and then 0322 and okay, so this is my address, right? So you need to make sure that this address remains the same, consistent throughout the rest of your Yellow Pages or whatever citations that you're going to be listing on, because usually they will ask you for address. Now I'm talking about if you can try to remain as consistent as possible. even road, R-O-A-D, you don't want to have it your Google Business Profile, you don't want to have it like that. And then at another place you are doing something like Loyang Road 123, and then don't have your poster, right? Okay, like this is your address. So even though they are the same address, but you can see it's not the same formatting. So you want to keep everything as much as you can as consistent as possible. Now, albeit there will be some sites that will not be able to give you this specific matrix where you can key in exactly your address, but the general rule of thumb is you want to make sure that it's always followed, it's always consistent to your best effort. Okay, similarly with your name, address, and your phone number. So again, with phone number, if you have the +65 in front, okay, if this is how you're going to put your phone number, indicate this. If not, if this is how you're going to put your phone number, indicate this. Okay, but again, everything is about consistency over here. Okay, so with that being said, now these 3 items are the most important. So when you are setting up your Google Business Profile, you need to make sure that you come up with a name and you are okay with that name throughout whoever there's going to be, wherever that your website gets cited, that will be the name that you want it to appear. So for example, in my case, my name is my business name is Trev SEO Agency. Okay, and that is for my name. And you basically over here want to decide here. Okay, now if you have not set up Google Business Profile, or you have not done any sort of SEO for your campaign or your website, right? So you basically have you have either not set it up, or you have set up already but you have not optimized it. What you want to do is you want to come up with a name that, first of all, it's not clickbaity. So for example, you don't want to, like for example, if my website is a SEO agency, I don't want to put SEO agency services in Singapore, you know, and all this is, it's not, you don't keyword stuff within here, because you want to make it as natural as much as possible. So in this case, if my agency is an SEO agency, I'll just put Trev SEO agency. Okay, now if you put if your website, if your brand is say ABC Dental, for example, okay, you can just put ABC Dental and then just make sure that all the rest will be similarly. The key here is to make sure that it's consistent. Okay, so you can put ABC Dental, you can put ABC Dental Clinic, or you can put you know, as long as it's consistent. Now, I will not go through like the specific optimization of, you know, what is the best setup. So in this case, because we'll just be auditing on what not to do, I think that will be a lot better for you guys at this moment, because because optimizing your Google Business Profile will take probably another whole course by itself. Whereas if I give you things that you don't do, at least you're not making mistakes and, you know, disrupting or limiting your growth in a way. Okay, so first of all, set up your business name. So in this case, mine is Trev SEO Agency. Next up will be your address. So I use my accounting firm's address, so I don't have the address on the top of my head, but I'm just gonna put you know, 123 building and then 0322, for example, in Singapore, okay, but you basically want to set this up here. Okay, and then your phone number is 66 something. We don't use we don't set up a direct phone number. Okay, so I'm just going to put this down as an example here. And then next up will be your website. Okay, so for your website, again, you want to make sure that you're giving the correct version. So always make sure that you're giving the correct version of your site, because again, you want to make sure everything it's consistent. So for example, my site, it's okay, if I go to Trev, okay, and this is my site, just gonna copy this and we're just gonna paste it here. Okay, and then physical location, if yes or no. So in this case, mine is no. If there is a yes, you want to put yes. If there's no, just put no. Okay, and operating hours, obviously you want to put in your operating hours here. Okay, let's say for example 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Business description. This business description is basically a description about what you offer. Okay, so I have my business description already here. So I'm going to go into my business profile, and we're gonna look at okay, we're gonna look at the business description here. Okay, usually they already have some sort of business description. Okay, but you want to make sure that your business description, it's, you know, descriptive in a way, say a little bit about what you guys offer, what you guys do. Okay, and you don't have to keep it very long. Okay, but make sure you have a business description. And then your service area. So service area, if let's say you don't service people from all over Singapore, you just service from in one specific area, then you just want to list down, like for example Bedok. Okay, or if you service like more than one location, like Bedok or Ang Mo Kio, for example, right? But you want to list down all of the service areas. Now, if it's Singapore, then you don't have to worry about all of them. You can just put Singapore. Okay, but if you don't service the whole of Singapore, you can just put Bedok or whichever country, whichever city, whichever area that is relevant to you. Okay, so in this case for mine is Singapore. I'm just going to put Singapore. And then what you want to have is your appointment or contact page. So for my agency, for my website, I don't have a contact page. But usually, because that's how I set it up, but usually you will have your contact page. So what you can do is, for example, you can just put in your contact page here. Okay, if that is your contact page. If it's not, then just grab the correct contact page, right? So this is an example. Now, do you sell products on your website? If answer is yes, just list down yes. If no, just list down no. And then you usually will have your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So these are all your social channels, the main social channels. So if you don't have it set up, my recommendation is set things up, because these are considered social signals that you can build to your website to show Google that you're a legitimate website, because you have you have a company Facebook, you have your brand Instagram, you have your company LinkedIn, you have a Twitter, and you have a YouTube, company YouTube, or your brand YouTube, right? So what you can do is, then once you have set this up, you can then paste down the link here, okay, and link Instagram if you have it. Okay, so whatever you have, just list them down here. Okay, and all you do is just tick off as you go. Okay, so this is for setting up. Now, once you've got it set up, the next thing you'll do is you'll go into this checklist, and this is where you're going to be auditing your stuff. Okay, so these are the items and these are the audits. So what you do is, if you look at here, the first item here, existing GMB. Okay, so if there's an existing GMB, the answer is yes, you don't have to do anything. If the answer is no, let me see if anything changes. Answer is no, there is not any changes here as well. So the reason why I have this is because we do this for some clients, and some clients don't even know whether they have their own GMB set up, and this is where we need to go in and find out if they have existing GMB. That's why we have it here. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is, if you have the GMB set up already, is the listing claimed? Okay, so if you are doing this for your own brand, you will know whether have you claimed your GMB, because you are the one that is setting up, right? But if you're not working on this for your own website, if you're working for another website, then you will be able to see whether if that Google Business Profile is claimed or not. And usually this appears on the here. Okay, right? You can see where is it? So you can see I manage this business profile. Sometimes you'll notice that this says that this listing has not been claimed. Okay, so that's where you want to go in and basically list down yes or no. So in this case, mine is yes. Now, obviously, if it's going to be a no, then you go under recommendation, and you basically want to claim that GMB listing if it's yours. Okay, if not, then if it's not yours, then you want to create a new one if you want to, because I wouldn't know who would have set up your GMB for you, because that's kind of weird. Okay, but if there is a GMB listing and it's not claimed, you want to go in and claim it. If there is no GMB listing, then you just want to go in and create it. Okay, so for mine, I'm going to list down as yes. Now, GMB name. So you can see GMB name over here. GMB name is essentially when you go to Trev. Okay, just as an example, you can see this is the GMB name. Okay, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that this name and the one that you have set up, okay, the one that you have decided, is the same name. Okay, most of the time what you're going to see is you're going to see this name is not the same as what you have set up. Okay, now is that okay? That's perfectly okay. But the main idea here is you need to make sure that your name is set up consistently and you decide that this is the name that you'll be using because in the future, if you are building any sort of citations on directories and all these things, the most important thing is you need to ensure that they are accurate and they are consistent. So choose one that you're going to set things up. Like for example, I've already set things up correctly. But if you see, for example, this is Trev, okay, and then my setup here, I've listed down as Trev SEO agency. I can then decide, do I want to just list down as Trev, or do I want to use Trev SEO agency? The main idea here is you want to set up and decide on one name for your business, okay? And again, don't try to mess the system with inserting a lot of keywords within there. It's not going to work. It's going to give you more problems than positive stuff. So again, I'm not going to dive in deep down into like GMB, Google Business Profile optimization, just to let you know the things that you don't want to be doing wrong. Okay, so you want to check if this is correct. So in my case, this is right. Okay, so I'm going to list down as yes. Okay, if it's not, again, then you just want recommendations. You can just put down change GMB or GBP name to XXX, for example, right? Depending on what you want. Okay, so again, this gives you a lot of flexibility. You can go in and change whatever you want. Now go under GMB category. So under GMB category, so this you will need to be logged into the GMB. Okay. And if you are doing this for your own website, then it's going to be very easy. However, if you don't have access to GMB, you want to request for the GMB access, because then you can go in and do the audit. If not, some items here, you'll not be able to, most of the items here actually, you will not be able to see what you can do. Okay, so go under your Google Business Profile, okay, and you want to basically go on to info, and over here you can see the category. Now with category, what I like to do is I don't add in as many category as much as possible. I keep it optimum up to 3, and that's simply because, like I mentioned, you want to keep things as natural as possible, and also at the same time there's a such thing as over optimization. Over optimization meaning to say you are doing things overboard, like you are putting in a lot of keywords within your page titles. You are overdoing it, right? So similar with like physical training and stuff like that, there's always a point where you overdo things, and when you overdo things, you're not going to get the results that you want, and in fact it will pull down your results, right? So you want to make sure that you're not over optimizing things. At least that's how I like to do it, and this has gotten me results so far, so I'm going to stick with it. So you can see, are there more than 3 categories listed? If there are more than 3 categories listed, then you're going to put down as yes, and this will be a flag off. And then the recommendations for you will to be go in and remove all the other categories that are, and just basically pick 3 that are the most relevant. Okay, so for example, in this here I have 3 category, and I'm just gonna start as no. Okay, now does the client have a physical store or location? So for mine, I don't have, that's why you can see it's blacked out. But if you do have it, then you want to ensure that you are going over here and you are inserting like your location here, so people can go into, people can go in and visit your store. But you can see there's no location. Okay, so mine is blanked out here. So next one is missing GMB address. So does the client have an address in GMB? So again, from here, you can go into this section here, and you just want to include your address. Now for me, particularly because I don't offer a place where people can come in to visit, because I don't have a store, so I'm going to list down as no. Okay. However, this is going to be a false positive, because again, because I don't need to have a Google, I don't need to have an address in here. However, if you do have an address, and if that address even is your headquarters where you're not selling physical stuff, right, you can also include your address here, and do make sure that your address is the same as this section here where you have listed down your address, because this address needs to be the same across all your citations and on your business profile. Okay, so for me particularly, I don't have it because it's not really important for me. But if you want to have it, by all means go ahead. So for me, I'm going to mark it as no, and then there's no recommendations because I don't need it to be set up. And then likewise, you can see here is the GMB address exactly the same. So for me, because there's no, I don't have to mark this, but if you mark it as yes, then this prompt will happen next. Is the GMB address the same? Okay, so all you have to do is just double check if the GMB address is the same. If it's not the same, then you're gonna go in and change it to be the exact same. Okay, so in this case, mine is no. I'm gonna leave it as no. Next up is service area. So earlier on, like I mentioned, the service area is depending on where you're offering your service. So if you're offering to the whole of Singapore, then you just put Singapore. If you're only offering to specific areas, then you just want to put the area. And the reason why is because over here, you can see there's a service area here. Now, service area, when you click onto it, basically it allows you to select specific areas, like for example, Bedok, like Ang Mo Kio, for example. Okay, so if you only have stores in Ang Mo Kio, then you obviously don't want to put like Bedok, for example. You want to put Ang Mo Kio. Okay, this way, your website or your business profile will be a lot more prominent for that specific area, which you should be, because you're only offering services within that area, right? So that's why earlier on, all these are being set up. So for me, I offer services all around Singapore because it's a digital service. So I'm going to put down here as Singapore, and I am going to mark it as yes. Okay, if it's not, then again, it's pretty clear cut. Just go in and put in your areas. Okay. Next up will be, is GMB opening hours the same? So what you want to do is, again, you want to just go in and see whether the opening hours you have set up, is it the same as what you have listed down here? Because again, you need to make sure all these this data that you're feeding to Google, it's consistent. Because the last thing you want to do is, for example, your working hours are 9 to 5, but over at your business hour, you put 9 to 5:30, right? So this is an inconsistent. With local SEO, you want to keep things as consistent as much as possible, because that will give your Google business profile more weight in a way, right? Because if your business hours are wrong, if your name is wrong, is inconsistent, if your address is inconsistent, then that's going to cause a lot of inconsistency throughout. Okay, so next up will be your business description. This is this this is not business description, so let me just put it yes first. Okay, and the next thing will be your first phone number in GMB. Okay, so earlier on, like I mentioned, your name is very important, your address is very important, and your phone number is very important. So you can see over here, this is the phone number, right? So sometimes some companies will have different phone numbers for different purposes, but you want to make sure the first phone number is always the same. Okay, so for example, if you have multiple phone numbers, you want to check, is the first phone number you listed the same as this phone number, basically the phone number for sales related stuff, right? So for example, here, this is the phone number. So again, this is just a placeholder. So you need to make sure that the first phone number, so if you have two phone numbers here, because some of our clients do, if you have two phone numbers here, you want to make sure the first phone number is the main priority phone number, the phone number that you want people to call for any sales related purposes. Okay, so that is for phone number. Okay, for me, I'm just going to list down as yes, because I only have one and it's set up properly. And then website. Okay, similarly for website, you can see down here, this website version is the same as the one that I've listed here. Okay, and again, if it's wrong, you just want to go in and edit it. Okay, so for me, I'm just going to list down as yes. Next thing, is the appointment link listed in GMB the same? So appointment link will be this. Okay, what is your contact page? So in this case, I don't have a contact page because my contact page is always changing. So you can see this is the contact page I'm currently using, which this link isn't working anymore because I'm changing it. But you want to make sure that your appointment links, it's the same as what you have indicated here. Basically, where do you want to send people to complete the form? It most likely will be your contact page, right? So you want to make sure that this is set up properly. Okay, so for me, I'm just gonna list down as no. Okay, because it's not the same. However, because I'm the one doing SEO for my own website, I know what I need to do. So if you have no, for example, then you can have like include XXX contact page here, right? For example. Okay. So next up, are there any services listed in GMB? Now, if you are providing any sort of services, right, you want to list down your services here. Okay, and you want to be as detailed as much as possible with you. So sometimes when you list down a service, for example, what you're gonna see is after a while, Google kind of recommends certain stuff that you should put it in. And these are basically the recommendations that Google has given me that they think it's relevant. So I've just include all of them here. But when you're starting out, what you're going to notice is when you go into your services page, you're not going to see any services being listed here. All you have to do is just go in, okay, and you basically want to add in a service, right? So these services will span from the 3 categories that you have selected. Okay, and you can go into this primary category, like for example here, you can add in another service, and you can put telemarketing, or if it's a custom service, you want to add in like your service, for example, and then you just want to click save. Okay, so that's how you do it. So if you have services listed, that's good to go. If not, you just want to include it in here. And again, you can see from this video, it's not so much about going in to optimize your Google Business Profile, because that is slightly more advanced. This will be mainly just to show you what are things that you should not be doing, or at least getting the main foundation set up. So the next thing is you can see, do they sell products on their website? So for me, it's no. If you list it down as a yes, okay, this is going to populate for you. Are there any products listed in GMB? Okay, so for me, because I don't set up, I don't have any products that I'm selling, so I'm going to list down as no. If it's going to be if it's yes, then you don't have to worry about it. If it's no, but you're selling products on your website, then you basically want to go down over to your product section, which is here, okay, and you can add in the products that you have within your catalog. So when people is browsing your when people search for your brand, for example, they can see the products that's being listed here. Okay, so let me show you an example. Let's see, for example, these are the products that you can see here. Okay, but because I don't have I don't offer any kind of physical products, then I will not include that in here. Okay, so do it as per whether you sell products on your website or not. So I am going to select no, and then I don't have to worry about this. Okay, next thing, can you add attributes in the attribute section? So if you go to your business profile, okay, and you scroll down below, there will be a place for you to add your attributes. Now, attributes is basically just to give your business profile a little bit more oomph, a little bit more, shine, because this will be able to show you whether are you LGBTQ friendly, do you need appointments, is there mask required, and all this kind of stuff. But because I don't own a physical store, so I don't think all these are important. But if you do own a physical store, or if you do have a physical headquarters, then you just want to be able to tick all of these. That makes sense, because like I mentioned, the more accurate data you feed to Google, the more Google will help your business out. Okay, so you just want to make sure that you're going to fill relevant attributes that is relevant for your business. So in this case, mine is going to be yes. Oh, no, because I already added all the relevant ones. Now, does the GMB have business description? So you can see it's a yes. I'm going to list it as a yes. And then the next 2 things will be reviews and photos. Now, what you want to do is, if you already have a Google Business Profile set up and have been setting up for quite some time, chances are you'll be getting reviews. Now, whether they are good reviews or bad reviews, you want to reply to every one of them, because this will kind of give Google a signal that you are actively replying to reviews. Your Google Business Profile is active, and also at the same time, you just want Google to be able to pick all of these things up, right? Because there's activity going on. And secondly, it's what I like to do. It's usually when you reply to a review, it kind of shows your brand. It kind of showcases how you handle customer service. And when people are searching for your brand, chances are they will see your replies in reviews as well. So whether if it's a negative review or whether if it's a good review, you want to be able to reply them. And especially for negative review, it's a very good chance for you to build your reputation, because how you reply to a negative review will reflect your brand towards other people. Okay, so how you do that is just simply go over to reviews, and if you already have review, you can just click on haven't replied, okay, and you basically want to go in and reply them and make sure that all these are being replied. So in this case, there's no reviews awaiting, so that's a yes. There's no reviews awaiting reply. Okay, if it's yes, you basically just want to go in and reply to all those reviews. And then are there any photos that's being submitted? So again, with photos, you just want to go in here and make sure there's some basic photos that's being set up. If you have your team at work, you want to add that in. If you have a team photo, you want to add that in as well. Okay, just to buff your Google Business Profile up. But you can see from my side, there is there is a photo submitted. Okay, so that is all for Google Business Profile. So by having all this set up and done in place, right, chances are your Google Business Profile will be already at a state where it's not problematic, or it's not set up in a wrong way, right? And then once you have this foundation set up, then in the future, if you want to go in and optimize your Google Business Profile, you can as well. It's just that for this video, like I mentioned, it's all about fundamentals and setting up the correct things, setting up it correctly. Okay, so that's all for this video. What's next is after this properties Google Properties videos are done, I'm going to moving into the first main pillar of SEO, which is technicality. Okay, so I hope you like this video. I hope you learned something from this, and that's all for this video. So I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care, stay safe. Cheers.